Victoria Atkins has said that the NHS must abandon its policy, its culture of secrecy when things go wrong, and it must be more open to whistleblowers. Well, of course, she's doing no more than repeating Jeremy Hunt's promises of 10 years ago now. And it's going to have no more value than the gabbling of some twit on the telly. It means nothing. She's been writing in the Telegraph, and she has asked officials at the Department of Health and Social Care to look into the issue of whistleblowers being targeted by NHS managers. Well, that may well be the case. I happen to know that there are court cases that have literally been stopped in their tracks in the last few days by the system. So how on earth can Victoria Atkins preen about morality and about the right thing to do when under her direction whistleblowers are still literally at this moment being hounded and silenced and threatened in the name of British justice, in the name of the NHS? Justice for Doctors, which is a group I'm familiar with, and I hope that I will have people representing that group on my channel very shortly, and that we can discuss some of the issues that they are raising directly, are identifying a culture of cover-up and a very cozy culture where the managerial process of the NHS is more important to protect than the patients. And thousands of pounds will go to protecting the reputation of the NHS. Now, in the Daily Telegraph, for example, the newspaper talks of 52 whistleblowers who say that they've raised concerns about more than 170 patient deaths and 700 patient harms. But the true number is much bigger. And the number of people who were involved in a meeting yesterday and who have expressed concerns goes well beyond 52 whistleblowers. It's nearer 1,000. And simply because the Telegraph hasn't done its footwork, hasn't done its homework, there's no reason to take it seriously that it's only 52. That number is huge. And doctors and nurses have had their careers destroyed because the bureaucrats and the managers in the NHS are more intent on keeping their jobs and their cushy pay than they are in saving lives and doing the right thing. The tactics used against whistleblowers are endless, being suspended from work for years at a time, having their own reputation trashed, and destroying their lives and the lives of anybody that they have interfaced with, simply to silence them. Speaking up should be a routine part of care, because it's important that things are done correctly, and if there are mistakes, it doesn't matter who calls them out, as long as those mistakes stop. And And in many cases, those mistakes may be accidental. Those mistakes may be part of a process that has grown up, part of a culture that has grown up. But we can't stop them unless we know about them. And that's why in a large organization, whistleblowing is not only helpful, but essential. Today, a whistleblower has to be very brave and is promised enhanced legal protection, is promised not to face discrimination at work. But that is not the case in practice in the NHS, which has become a foul hotbed of backslapping and corruption. There is no other word for it. It's become a corrupt practice, and it doesn't deliver the goods. And where is the problem? The problem lies in the bureaucracy and in the management. These useless, non-medical, overpaid individuals who are running the trusts down, who pontificate on TV and look as if they're important. The only people who are important, the only people who should have protection in the NHS are the people who are actually doing the work. The doctors, the nurses, the cleaners. The senior bureaucrats need to be challenged about whether or not the work they are doing is efficacious, is correct, and is worth all the money that they are charging. You don't have to be particularly perspicacious to recognize that there's something wrong with the NHS. I think the thing that is wrong with the NHS is the bureaucracy and the way the trust system is set up to protect itself. As I say, I will be bringing some interviews over the next few weeks from Doctors for Justice. And I hope these stories and these interviews will speak for themselves, and the people will be able to articulate better than I can why it is that we need a new beginning, a fresh start for the NHS. It's got nothing to do with party politics. It's all to do with morality and with the right course of action. And it's about protecting the vulnerable, the people whose lives have been ruined because they did the right thing, because they spoke up when others would prefer to duck behind the desk and not say anything. People who have had their lives ruined, people who have tried to go through the court system, and the court system delays and prevaricates. It's terribly expensive to go through the court system. Why would anyone do it? Even if you win, it's often a Pyrrhic victory because it costs so much simply to win. And the court system, we're in a world, we're in an age where English doesn't matter. Proper English is rarely used. The number of times people say in regards to, as opposed to the correct expression with regards to. And I'm astonished. It's become almost routine, and I saw it the other day in a legal paper. These people in the courts cannot speak English. They cannot write English. They write drivel with a pomposity and an air of authority that has to be taken seriously. They are changing our language as well as our culture, as well as our standard of good practice. And that's the legal system. The legal system is in cahoots with the bureaucracies of the NHS, with the government's departments, with the civil services who are supporting the reputation of the NHS at the expense of the people who are trying to do the right thing and make the NHS work. These people, these evil individuals, would rather the NHS fail than admit failure, than admit fault. And I'm afraid it's the same approach as the post office. It's the same approach as the blood contamination, as the Windrush, as the legal system, of course, when it's caught having sent the wrong person down. It will do anything to defend its aberrant actions. I was always told that a gentleman's action was to recognize the mistakes, put the hand up, and do the right thing, put it right, admit error. I don't think there's very many gentlemen or women running the NHS. They're all little Hitlers who would do anything to escape responsibility.